I got her this time. I set a trap and she walked right into it. Now, before you judge me, let me explain how we ended up here. It was a Tuesday night 2 weeks ago, and we were all gathered at the HOA meeting under the harsh fluorescent lights in the clubhouse. Karen, our controlling HOA president, had that smug grin plastered across her face as she banged her gavel like she was presiding over the Supreme Court. Out of the blue, she proposed a new plan that she personally would go around and inspect our garages to ensure nothing illegal or dangerous was happening behind closed doors. Welcome to the HOA Storytime. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. The room went dead silent for a moment. People shifted uncomfortably in their seats, but Karen stood there like she'd just solved world hunger. I raised my hand and asked as calmly as possible whether this inspection was mandatory or optional. She smirked and said if a homeowner didn't consent, it was fine. That was all I needed to hear. I told her straight-faced that I didn't consent and that there was absolutely nothing illegal happening in my garage. A few people nodded in agreement, but most of the homeowners agreed to her little inspection. In that moment, I felt like the black sheep in a flock of mindless followers. Karen turned her head, narrowed her eyes at me, and in front of everyone she said, "If you have nothing to hide, then why not let us inspect?" Her tone was pure bait, but I wasn't biting. I shook my head again. She pursed her lips, banged her gavel, and said, "Okay then." I thought that was it, that maybe she'd huff and puff and then drop it. But the way she glared at me before sitting back down told me she wasn't finished. What I didn't know that night was just how far she would actually go. Before we dive in deeper, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. After that meeting, I started noticing things I'd never paid attention to before. Karen wasn't just running her HOA circus, she had started circling my house like a vulture waiting for roadkill. I'd catch her out of the corner of my eye, standing near the edge of my driveway, pretending to walk her dog even though the leash hung empty. Sometimes she'd be parked across the street in her SUV, scribbling in a little notebook like she was building a case file on me. Every time our eyes met, she gave me this sinister smile that sent a chill down my spine. At first, I brushed it off as paranoia. I told myself maybe she was just nosy, maybe she had too much free time on her hands. But then one Thursday, everything changed. I came home late from work and instantly noticed my living room felt off. The stack of mail on my counter was slightly askew, a chair was moved just a few inches from where I had left it. My garage light, which I always turned off, was switched on. It was subtle but enough to make my stomach drop. Someone had been inside my house. I didn't see any signs of forced entry, so I racked my brain for who could have possibly had access. My number one suspect? Karen. And when I saw her later that evening at the mailbox, she gave me that same smug smile, lips curled like she knew a secret I didn't. She didn't say a word, just waved with her paint-chipped nails and strolled away. That was all I needed. The following Thursday, it happened again. I returned home and the first thing I noticed was a pile of tools in my garage had been rearranged. My suspicion hardened into certainty. Karen was targeting Thursdays because that's when I usually worked late. That wasn't coincidence. That was calculated. I wanted to confront her right there, but without proof, I'd look like the crazy neighbor screaming at the HOA president. That's when I decided, no more waiting, no more guessing. If she wanted to play games in my house, then I'd set the stage myself.
So I hatched a plan, one that she would never see coming. That Thursday, I called in a favor with my neighbor, Mrs. Adler, who lived 2 houses down and had a perfect view of my driveway. I told her to keep her phone ready and stay quiet. Meanwhile, I slipped out of my house early in the morning, pretending to head to work, but in reality, I ducked into Mrs. Adler's living room, where her blinds gave me the perfect vantage point. My heart was racing, but my mind was locked in. This was the day Karen was going down. The trap itself was simple, but brilliant. I had taken a 5-gallon bucket of bright blue paint from my garage and mixed in a cocktail of sour milk, vinegar, and raw egg. It smelled like a sewer married a dumpster. I rigged it up above my front door with a thin thread stretched across my welcome mat. Anyone stepping past it would trip the line, releasing the bucket in one glorious splash. Hours crawled by. Then, around 1 p.m., I saw her approaching. Karen strutted down the street, not even hot-bothering to hide her intentions. She checked over her shoulder, glanced at my supposedly empty driveway, and marched up like she owned the place. When she reached the door, she didn't hesitate. She pulled out a key. A key? My blood boiled. Somehow, she'd managed to copy mine. She slipped it into the lock, twisted, and pushed the door open. The thread snapped, the bucket flipped, there was a loud splat, followed by the most satisfying shriek I've ever heard in my life. Karen stumbled backward, her pristine blouse, her hair, her face, all drenched in thick blue paint. The stench hit immediately, sour and rotten, and she gagged as the neighbors peeked out their windows. Phones came out, cameras flashed. I walked out from Mrs. Adler's porch, grinning ear to ear. "Smile for the camera, Karen," I called, raising my phone to show her I had every second recorded. Mrs. Adler was cackling beside me. Karen looked like a monster rising from a swamp, dripping paint, reeking like spoiled food. She screeched, flailed her arms, and bolted down the street, leaving a trail of blue footprints behind her. The neighborhood had just witnessed the birth of Blue Cheese Karen. Karen vanished into her house that afternoon, dripping paint, stinking like spoiled leftovers, and leaving a trail of blue footprints that neighbors photographed from every angle. Within hours, videos were already circulating in the HOA group chat under the title Blue Cheese Karen. She tried to disappear, but her humiliation had legs. It spread faster than wildfire. And just when I thought she'd lick her wounds and move on, a thick envelope landed in my mailbox 3 days later. Subpoena. Karen was suing me. Her claim, intentional assault, emotional distress, and property damage. I laughed out loud. She walked into my house with a stolen key, triggered my trap, and somehow decided I was the criminal? Fine. If she wanted war, I'd bring the arsenal. The day of court, the room buzzed. Neighbors had shown up just to watch, phones tucked away, but grins on their faces. Karen strutted in wearing a cream pantsuit, her lawyer in tow, chin high like she hadn't been baptized in rotten blue paint 2 weeks ago. She swore under oath that she had never broken into my home and absolutely did not copy my key. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then came my turn. I pulled out the footage, her marching up the driveway in broad daylight, slipping the key into my lock and screaming as the paint drenched her. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Mrs. Adler's video, filmed from across the street, sealed the deal. Karen's face dropped, her composure shattering as the judge leaned forward. "Mrs. Williams," he said sternly, "you have lied under oath. This is perjuring. Not only is your claim dismissed, but you are guilty of criminal trespass, harassment, and providing false testimony." The gavel struck like thunder. Sentence: 60 days in county jail, 1 year probation, and a permanent ban from holding any HOA board position. On top of that, she owed me $50,000 in damages and fees. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Karen's jaw trembled as deputies escorted her out. Blue paint memes already buzzing through the neighborhood group chat. She'd come to court to destroy me, but instead, she had demolished her own empire. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below. Also, if you really love this video and want to support the channel directly, you can hit that super thanks button below. It really helps us keep bringing you more HOA chaos.